how sure are you there's going to be a war?
There will always be a war. Quiet. I see it. The Eternals. The Eternals will try to kill us all. We must gather the Quiet Council.
X Judgment Day number 5, written by Kieran Gillen, is responsible for the deaths of numerous important characters, one of whom is Steve Rogers, also known as Captain America. Having said that, there is a catch. The most recent chapter of the event depicts the Celestial Progenitor embarking on a mission to wipe out humanity and destroy Earth. The numerous Avengers assembled their forces in order to put an end to the omnipotent creature. Many heroes, including many different X-Men, perish in the course of attempting to save the world, including Captain America, Thor Odinson, Icarus, Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel, and many more. In the last chapter, the X-Men make the decision to resurrect Captain America rather than Scott Summers / Cyclops because they believe that Captain America holds the secret to preventing the destruction of Earth. This decision goes against Krakoa's conventions. At this point in time, it is not totally obvious who may or may not be revived in the months to come. However, as the majority of the deceased characters were connected to at least one continuing novel, it is quite possible that we will see them again in the relatively near future. Thus, keep watching to find out which Avengers met their death at the hands of the Celestials. What is X Judgment Day? The most recent Marvel crossover event is called X Judgment Day. The plot revolves around a brutal conflict that erupts between the godlike Eternals and the mutants who live on Earth. Druig, who is in his role as Prime Eternal at the moment, came to the conclusion that the mutants were a genetic error that needed to be eradicated. The country of Krakoa was invaded by Druig, which led to an all-out war in that region. The Avengers and the X-Men have been working together along with a group of Eternals who do not share Druig's destructive outlook in an effort to bring an end to the battle. Regrettably, their participation has unwittingly contributed to a deterioration of the situation. As of late, the Avengers have been operating out of the corpse of a Celestial by the name of Progenitor. This serves as their base. The Avengers, the X-Men, and the Eternals bring back Progenitor in hopes that the Great Celestial would be able to put an end to the conflict and help them destroy Druig. Progenitor is appalled by the way mankind has behaved toward Earth, and he has made it clear that he will render his verdict about humanity in 1 day's time. What happened in X Judgment Day number 4? X Judgment Day number 4 tells us how the world responds to this terrifying edict after Progenitor pledged to allow the planet 24 hours before he would issue his ultimate judgment. As you can expect, people start to freak out. The Avenger known as Captain America makes fruitless efforts to calm the people in the streets, but the frenzy that is occurring all around him is too much for him to handle. The story is told from Progenitor's point of view, as he evaluates different good people and bad guys to determine whether or not they deserve to be heroes and villains. The criteria set by Progenitor are quite rigorous and severe. Miss Marvel and Dr. Doom both pass, whereas the failed candidate for mayor of New York City, Luke Cage, was Charles Xavier. As the countdown to the last 24-hour begins, the conflict between the mutants and the Celestials intensifies, and Druig is taking advantage of the mayhem. Magneto engages in combat with the mighty Eternal Uranus, but the fight does not go well for him. Magneto seems to give up and give in to his injuries as the fight goes on and takes a toll on him. At the conclusion of this issue, Progenitor delivers his last verdict, in which he declares that mankind is doomed to annihilation. Captain America looks in utter terror as the Eternal starts to massacre the people in the throng surrounding him. Before Captain America's own eyes, the terrified people he had pledged to rescue turned into skeletons. The only thing that prevented Captain America from being killed the first time was his vibranium shield, but even that was merely a stopgap measure. The last panel depicts a shot of Captain America uttering the words, "We are going to perish," while his expression is one of complete and utter terror. Will everyone in the Marvel Universe die? If Progenitor succeeds in wiping out all of humanity, does it mean that Marvel Universe has come to an end? Most likely not, but that doesn't mean the events of this moment won't have significant repercussions. At the conclusion of Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 11, published in 1984, Dr. Doom had killed every Marvel hero that was on Battleworld. However, they all reappeared in the next issue. Hawkeye was put to death during the tale Avengers Disassembled in 2004, but he was brought back to life during the event House of M in 2005. The idea is that there is a history of heroes passing away in plots similar to this one, but it does not necessarily indicate that they will not return. However, even if we have reason to believe that Marvel's most well-known heroes would be able to avoid extinction, it does not give us the license to disregard Progenitor's efforts to wipe out humanity. Keep in mind that even though the main characters can survive death, this does not always guarantee that their secondary cast members will. Is it feasible that the loved ones of Avengers may end up as victims of the Progenitor's judgment? Even if well-known heroes like Spider-Man and Miss Marvel are spared, supporting characters like Peter Parker's buddy, Randy Robertson, and Kamala Khan's brother, Amir, is at risk of falling prey to the Progenitor's wrath. The demise of a well-liked auxiliary character may be an efficient method for elevating the stakes and providing a crossover event with some gravitas. The results of Progenitor's judgment might nevertheless have a significant impact on the Marvel Universe, even the event that everyone who dies turns out to be an unimportant bystander. If you have been following the different projects that have been released as part of the MCU, then you are aware of how devastating it was for Earth to lose half of its inhabitants. Despite the fact that Hulk was able to bring them back in Avengers Endgame, mankind is still working through the pain they experienced as a result of the incident. Despite the fact that movies and comic books are very distinct forms of media that will each approach the subject matter in their own unique manner, the parallel seems to be appropriate here. Because Progenitor is able to vaporize individuals, it is impossible to predict how many people would perish as a result of his actions before they are halted. What responses might we expect from the survivors? Well, time will tell, but in the meanwhile, the heroes will have to halt Progenitor. The caption for the blurb that will appear in the next issue simply states, "It's too late," which is not very reassuring. Thor is worthless in the Marvel Universe after his Grimmest death. Thor's battle with the celestial progenitor with Mjolnir concluded with him being brutally slain, leading to one of the worst deaths in the history of the god's long and illustrious career. In issue number 5 of A.X.E. Judgment Day, published by Marvel Comics, the God of Thunder is one of the heroes who make a last stand against the all-powerful space god who is imposing his judgment on Earth. However, Thor is reduced to his essential form and is one of the many Avengers who perish as a result of the struggle. As a result of the Eternals' assault on the X-Men, which resulted in the awakening of the Avengers' celestial headquarters, Judgment Day has begun in the Marvel Universe. The Progenitor is seeking to pass judgment on everyone who lives on Earth. The Celestial has rendered a verdict on a few of the greatest heroes who have ever lived on Earth, and Captain America is included in the group of individuals who have been considered unfit. Thor, however, was recently stripped of his own worthiness in the last struggle against the Celestial's judgment before Earth was destroyed. Earth's mightiest heroes launched their assault on the Celestial in the 5th issue of A.X.E. Judgment Day. The assault is led by some of Marvel's most powerful characters and is aimed at exploiting a vulnerability in the Progenitor. Even the Eternals have given the X-Men permission to assume control of their existence so the X-Men may fight their deity. At the moment when the God of Thunder is ready to strike the Celestial with Mjolnir, the Celestial explains that even if Thor may be worthy, the world itself is not. It renders every aspect of Thor worthless, while also causing him to die a gruesome death in one of his most tragic ways. In the past, the Celestial judgment of Thor was successful because his worthiness was elevated to a higher degree. However, since the Progenitor determined that it wasn't worthwhile to save Earth, the Celestial Judgment's prior decisions were irrelevant. Due to the failure of the world, it was necessary for everyone to perish, regardless of their rulings. In the case of Thor, he was rendered unworthy since the assault he launched with Mjolnir ended up being the final action he took before his terrible death at the hands of the Celestial, which left him a blazing mass of flesh and bone. Although Thor was not the first Avenger to go in a tragic manner as a result of the judgment of the Celestials, his passing is among the most unexpected in this chapter. The fact that the Celestial was able to render him unworthy demonstrates the incredible power it has, as it had no trouble destroying Thor and Mjolnir in a short amount of time during their last stand against the space god. Because even the most powerful heroes have so little of a chance against the Progenitor, the Earth's mightiest heroes who have survived will need to do more than just establish their worth to win the battle. Who exactly is capable of defeating the Celestials? A few of the most powerful entities in the Marvel Universe are members of the Celestial race. They go from world to world, interfering with the evolution of different species before coming back to pass judgment on those species later. They are incomprehensible to humans, yet other species worship them as if they were gods. Because so few characters have been able to defeat such powerful entities, Dracula's ability to slay Celestials places him in a very exclusive group of those who have been able to do so. One of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, the Sentry, was only able to put a barely noticeable dent in another. Because he wielded the Necro Sword, Knoll, also known as the King in Black, was able to slaughter and enslave Celestials when he was in power. Franklin Richards is maybe the only other figure, except for this one, that has the ability to slay a Celestial. In the recent past, Dracula has re-established himself as one of Marvel's most prominent villains, and he now has a weapon that is so potent that it is capable of not only slaying a Celestial, but also transforming it into a vampire. And that's it! Click the like button if you'd like to see more videos just like the one you're watching now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be waiting for you in the next video.